The night shift on Frontier Station 9 was always quiet, but tonight felt different. The air felt heavier, like something was watching from the shadows. Bright lights above flickered without warning. A soft alarm beeped in the background, but no one could find the reason for it. Everything felt wrong. In the center of the engineering deck, Jace Rowan, a young human mechanic, checked a loose power relay. He was tired. He had been working for 13 hours straight. But suddenly he stopped, because he heard something. A very light sound. A whisper, almost like a child breathing. He stood up slowly. The hallway behind him was dark. Only emergency lights glowed on the walls. Jace took a deep breath and walked forward. Each step echoed. The station felt empty, too empty. Then he saw it. At the end of the long metal corridor, curled near a supply crate, was a small figure. A child-sized silhouette. Thin, fragile, and glowing faintly blue. Jace froze. His heart hit his ribs. What is that? He moved closer, careful not to scare the little shape. As he reached a few feet away, the figure lifted its head. Two huge, shimmering eyes stared back at him. Eyes that were not human at all. And the small creature trembled like it had been running for days. It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't attacking. It was terrified. Jace crouched slowly and said in a soft voice, "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The creature tried to speak, but no clear words came out. Only a trembling sound, a mix of fear and exhaustion. Jace noticed bruises on its arms. Dust and burn marks covered its clothes. It looked like someone had chased it, hunted it, and it barely escaped. The creature pointed at her chest. "Ellie, Lyra," she whispered, giving her name in a shaky voice. Jace nodded. "Lyra, okay, you're safe now." But right as he said that, the floor under them vibrated. The lights flickered again. A warning message appeared on the wall display. Unauthorized entry detected. Section B-17. Jace looked down at the girl. She shook her head violently, eyes full of fear. She grabbed his sleeve, almost begging. Something was coming. A cold wave of dread washed through him. Someone, or something, was searching for this girl, and they had already reached the station. Jace picked her up gently. She was light, too light. He rushed toward the maintenance lift. But halfway there, he heard heavy footsteps. Slow, calm, confident, not human. Jace turned off the lights and pressed his back against the wall. Lyra hid her face in his jacket, trembling like she knew those footsteps very well. A tall shadow passed by the corridor entrance. A long silhouette. Smooth, metallic armor covering its body. A hunter. Jace held his breath. Lyra's tiny fingers tightened around his collar. The creature in armor stopped. Its head turned slightly. It sniffed the air, like it was tracking something alive. Jace's heartbeat echoed in his ears. He didn't move. He didn't blink. The armored figure finally walked away, but Jace knew it wasn't over. They would search every corner. They would tear through the walls if they had to. Someone powerful wanted this alien girl back. Jace whispered, "Don't worry. I'll protect you." Lyra looked up at him with shining eyes. For the first time, she didn't look scared. She looked hopeful. But deep inside, Jace felt a storm rising. Whatever was hunting her wasn't human. And it wasn't alone. Tonight, humanity was about to learn the truth. That a lost alien girl had brought danger far beyond their imagination. And she had chosen him to save her. Jace didn't stop running until he reached the emergency safety room 2 levels below engineering. The metal door sealed behind him with a loud hiss. For a few seconds, he just stood there, breathing hard, holding the trembling alien girl in his arms. The room was small. Cold metal walls. A single light above. No windows. Safe, but only for a short time. Lyra sat on the floor, hugging her knees. She seemed even smaller now, like the weight of the entire galaxy was crushing her. Jace crouched down in front of her. "Tell me," he said gently. "Why are they hunting you?" She didn't answer. Her eyes darted around the room, fear in every glance. She wasn't just scared of the hunters, she was scared of herself. Then Jace noticed something glowing on her wrist. A small device, shaped like a broken bracelet. He reached toward it. Lyra quickly covered it with her hand and shook her head. "No, dangerous," she whispered. Jace sat back. "Dangerous for you or for them?" She hesitated, then pointed at her own chest. "For everything." A chill spread through Jace's body. Everything. Before he could ask more, the station's intercom crackled overhead. A cold, unfamiliar voice echoed through the entire level. "We know she is here. Return the girl," human, and your station will remain unharmed." Lyra gasped. Her eyes filled with terrified recognition. She covered her ears like the voice itself heard her. Jace looked up at the ceiling speaker, anger rising in his chest. Who were these things? Why were they ordering humans around like they owned the station? Lyra tugged his sleeve gently. "Please don't answer them. They lie." Jace knelt beside her. "Then tell me the truth. Who are they?" Lyra closed her eyes, gathering courage. When she spoke, her voice cracked. "They are seekers. They chase anything with power. And I have something inside me that they want." Jace felt his stomach twist. "Inside you?" She nodded. Her small hand touched the glowing device on her wrist. "My planet made this. It protects a special energy core. I carry it because I was the only one who survived." Her voice broke on the last word. Jace didn't speak at first. He understood now. She wasn't just a lost girl. She was a survivor of a destroyed world, and the Seekers wanted the last piece of that world for themselves. "Lyra," he whispered, "why did you come here? Why my station?" She looked up at him with slow, painful honesty. "Because humans fight for people they don't know. We heard stories, legends. We believed you helped the weak." Jace's chest tightened. Hearing that from a child of another world felt heavier than any mission he had ever taken. But the moment shattered when the lights flickered violently. A loud boom shook the room. The wall dented inward. The Seekers had found them. Lyra cried out and ran to Jace. He held her close as dust fell from the ceiling. The metal wall bent again. Something powerful was hitting it from the outside. Jace stood up, fists clenched. He grabbed the nearest tool, a heavy plasma cutter. Not a weapon, but better than nothing. Another slam. Another dent. The door's bolts started to crack. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, reacting to danger. The bracelet flickered with unstable energy. Jace stepped between her and the breaking door. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for this. But he was human. And humans didn't back down. Not when a child, any child, needed protection. The metal finally tore open, and a tall, armored Seeker stepped inside, its eyes burning like cold stars. It pointed at Lyra. "The core. Give it to us." Jace raised the plasma cutter, jaw tight. "Over my dead body." And for the first time, the Seeker hesitated. Because humans weren't supposed to challenge them. But tonight, one human would. The Seeker stepped forward, but Jace didn't retreat. He tightened his grip on the plasma cutter. Lyra hid behind him, trembling so hard her small shoulders shook. The Seeker tilted its head, studying him like a confused predator. Humans weren't supposed to resist. Humans were supposed to fear. But Jace stood firm. Before the Seeker could move again, a loud alarm echoed across the entire level. "Airlock access. Authorized entry detected." The Seeker turned sharply toward the hallway. Someone else had arrived. Jace used the moment of distraction to pull Lyra toward the emergency hatch. "Come on, move." They sprinted down the narrow maintenance shaft. Above them, metal screeched as the Seeker tore through the safety room. Its roar echoed, but it didn't chase them immediately. It sensed something else approaching, something it didn't want to fight. Jace and Lyra reached a narrow crawl space that overlooked the main docking ring. Through the grated metal floor, they could see the airlock doors sliding open. And then they saw them. Two tall figures stepped through the mist. They were not Seekers. Their skin was silver blue, almost metallic. Their eyes glowed softly, like warm lanterns. They wore flowing armor marked with golden patterns. Their movements were graceful, almost royal. Lyra gasped and covered her mouth. She knew them. Jace whispered, "Friends or enemies?" Lyra's voice cracked. I don't know anymore." The first figure, a tall woman with braided silver hair, looked around carefully. Her voice was calm but powerful. "We seek the child," she said. "Return her, and no human will be harmed." The second figure, slightly younger, touched a small device on her wrist. A glowing map hovered in the air, showing the station layout. A pulsing red dot blinked exactly where Jace and Lyra were hiding. They had already located her. The two women moved with purpose, scanning corridors, ignoring the terrified crew members who backed away at their presence. Jace felt a cold sweat run down his neck. They weren't here to help humans. They weren't here to fight Seekers. They were here for one thing only: Lyra. The younger woman spoke, her voice sharp. "She carries the core. Without it, our world dies." Lyra flinched. Tears formed in her eyes. No. They promised. They said they wouldn't take me. Jace turned to her. Who are they? Lyra whispered. My guardians. My people's protectors. But when my planet fell, they changed. They only care about the core now. Not me. Below, the tall woman raised her hand. A glowing sphere formed in her palm, scanning the air. It swept across the room like a beam of light, coming closer, closer, straight toward the crawl space. Jace pressed Lyra's head down. Don't move. The light passed inches above them. Jace held his breath. Then, boom. The Seeker exploded out of the hallway, attacking the two women with a roar. The floor shook violently. Energy blasts filled the docking ring. The Seekers and the silver-blue warriors collided like two storms smashing together. Jace grabbed Lyra's hand. We're leaving. Now. But Lyra didn't move. She stared at the battle below, frozen with horror. That's why they're here, she whispered. Not for me, but for what's inside me. They'll kill each other. They'll destroy everything. Until they get the core. Jace pulled her harder. Then we stay ahead of them. You're not going back. Not to any of them. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she nodded. They crawled deeper through the maintenance tunnels. Explosions rattled the metal around them. Sparks showered every few seconds. Behind them, the fight intensified. Seekers roaring, warriors shouting commands, metal striking metal. Lyra looked back one last time. Two alien forces, both claiming to protect her, both willing to kill to take her. And one human, with no powers, no armor, and nothing but a plasma cutter, refusing to let go of her hand. For the first time, Lyra whispered something new. Jace, why are you helping me? He didn't hesitate. Because you asked for help. In that simple answer, the power of humanity shone brighter than any alien weapon. Jace and Lyra crawled through the narrow tunnel until it opened into a larger maintenance bay. The room vibrated under their feet. Sparks rained down from the ceiling like burning snow. Something massive had hit the outer hull. The station was starting to break apart. Jace looked around quickly. We need to reach the command lift. It's the only way to get to the escape decks. But before they could move, the floor beneath them shook with a deep, thunderous boom. Tools fell from the shelves. Pipes burst, spraying steam into the air. The lights flickered, then went dark. Only red emergency lamps glowed now, painting the room in a blood-colored haze. Lyra grabbed Jace's arm. They're tearing the station open, both sides. She was right. From the far corridor, they heard the sharp metallic steps of a Seeker. From the opposite end, the heavy, graceful footsteps of the silver-blue warriors echoed closer. Two hunters, from two different worlds, closing in at the same time. Jace whispered, we can't let them trap us between both sides. He grabbed Lyra's hand and rushed toward the emergency ladder. The metal frame rattled under their weight as they climbed. Dust and sparks fell around them. Halfway up the ladder, Lyra gasped and looked down. The Seeker had entered the bay. Its glowing eyes locked onto the ladder. Locked onto her. It raised its arm. Energy crackled at its fingertips. Jace shouted, move. They scrambled upward just as a beam of blue plasma shot toward them, burning through the bottom rungs of the ladder. Metal melted instantly. The entire ladder shook violently. Lyra slipped. She screamed as her foot missed the step. Jace caught her wrist right before she fell. His muscles burned, but he pulled her up with every ounce of strength he had. Hold on, he yelled. She tried, but her hands shook uncontrollably. Jace lifted her the last few feet, his arms trembling with pain. He pushed her into the next level's hatch. But just as he climbed in after her, a calm voice carried through the air. Child of the core, stand down. Jace turned. The silver-haired warrior, the elder one, had arrived. She stood in the middle of the room below, unharmed by the Seeker's attack. Her armor glowed with sharp, golden lines. Her eyes locked onto Lyra with a strange mix of sadness and determination. Lyra froze. Her breathing quickened. She whispered, Izura. She was my mother's protector. Izura raised a hand. Come with me, little star. You do not belong with humans. Jace pulled Lyra back from the hatch. She's not going with anyone. Izura's eyes hardened. Human, you do not understand the gravity of what she carries. That child holds the last living core. It keeps our entire world alive. Without it, millions will die. Jace didn't blink. He didn't step back. He didn't care if she was a queen or a goddess. All I know, he said, is she's scared. And she trusted me. So she stays with me. For a moment, Izura just stared at him. Then she spoke softly. You would risk your life for a child that is not even your species. Jace nodded once. Yes. Izura's expression changed. Surprise, confusion, maybe even respect. But before she could respond, a loud metallic roar echoed over the bay. The Seeker sprang toward her like a beast unleashed. Izura spun, raising a glowing shield just in time. The two collided in an explosion of energy. The shockwave shattered control panels and hurled debris everywhere. Jace didn't waste a second. He grabbed Lyra, pulled the hatch shut, and locked it. They ran down the dark corridor, lit only by emergency lights. Behind them, the station shook with violent clashes as alien forces fought below. Lyra's voice trembled. It's going to fall apart. They won't stop, Jace. They'll destroy everything just to get the core. Jace stopped and knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders. Then we get you out before they do. I don't care how strong they are. I don't care how many come. You're walking out alive. Lyra stared at him, eyes wide, as if trying to understand something humans carried inside them, something she had never seen before. Courage, stubbornness, hope. Then the floor shook again, this time harder than before. A deep crack opened along the wall. The station was starting to break apart for real. Jace stood, grabbed her hand, and pulled her forward. Come on, he said. This isn't where our story ends. Jace and Lyra ran through the emergency corridor as the station groaned under the pressure of two alien forces fighting inside it. The walls shook. Pipes burst. Loose wires sparked overhead. Every alarm on Frontier Station 9 screamed at once. But Jace didn't stop running. Ahead of them was the central power spine, a tall, narrow passage lined with humming generators. If they crossed it, they could reach the upper decks and find a way to escape. Lyra suddenly pulled Jace's sleeve. We are not alone. He froze. Instinct told him she was right. The humming generators made it hard to hear, but then, footsteps. 2 sets. 1 light. 1 heavy. From the left walkway, Izura stepped out. Her silver blue armor cracked, but still glowing. Her expression was fierce, protective, and determined. From the right walkway, a massive Seeker emerged, its armor sparking from earlier combat. It held a jagged spear of energy like a weapon forged from lightning. They had both tracked Lyra. They had both cornered her. And now, they stared at each other across the power spine. Izura spoke first, her voice sharp and commanding. Stand aside, machine. The child belongs to us. The Seeker growled, a sound like grinding metal. Your claim is rejected. The core is ours. It will power the Seeker Prime. Lyra gasped in terror. No. They want to use the core to destroy worlds, not save them. Izura tightened her grip on her glowing spear. Child, you must trust me. Come here. I will take you home. Jace stepped in front of Lyra. She's not going anywhere. Izura's eyes softened, but only for a moment. Human, you do not understand. If she stays with you, both of our species will go to war. The core does not belong in human hands. Jace clenched his jaw. I don't want anything from the core. I just want her safe. Izura hesitated, just for half a breath. But the Seeker did not. It lunged forward, spear raised, aiming straight at Lyra. Jace shouted, "Move," and shoved Lyra against the wall. The spear grazed his arm, slicing through fabric and skin. Hot pain burned through him, but he grabbed a metal panel from the wall and returned a wild swing. The blow did nothing to the Seeker's armor, but it got its attention. The machine turned toward him, ready to strike. Izura leaped between them, slamming her golden shield into the Seeker's chest. The impact sent a shockwave through the entire room. The generators flickered. Lights dimmed. Stay back, human, Izura shouted. You will be killed. Jace shook his head, blood dripping from his arm. I'm not leaving her. Izura looked at him like she was seeing a human for the first time. But before she could respond, the Seeker lifted both arms. Dark energy built between its palms, aimed directly at the generators lining the room. Lyra's voice came out in a broken whisper. No, if he destroys that, the whole station will go dark and fall. Izura jumped forward, but she was too far. Jace didn't think. He acted. He grabbed a loose cable hanging from the ceiling, sparks shooting from its end. He leaped forward and slammed the live wire against the metal railing just as the Seeker released the blast. A blinding arc of electricity shot across the walkway. The Seeker's attack collided with the electric burst, exploding in a wave of white light. Jace was thrown backward. He hit the floor hard, but the Seeker took the full brunt of the feedback. Its armor cracked. Its left arm sparked uncontrollably. It staggered. For the first time, the Seeker looked hurt. Jace coughed, struggling to breathe. Lyra ran to him, eyes filled with fear. "You hurt yourself. You'll die if you fight like this." Jace wiped the blood from his lips. "I'm still here. I'm not done yet." Izura stared at him in stunned silence. "Humans, you choose to suffer to protect others? Even when they are not your kind?" Jace nodded. "That's what we do." Izura looked at Lyra, then at Jace, and slowly lowered her spear. But the Seeker rose again, roaring with rage. It wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. Lyra stepped forward. Her hands shook. Her bracelet glowed brighter than ever, pulsing with dangerous, unstable energy. "Stop," she said, her small voice trembling. "Stop fighting because of me, please." Neither alien listened. So she did something no one expected. She raised her hands, and the core inside her reacted. A bright, swirling light burst from her chest, filling the entire room. Jace shielded his eyes. Izura gasped. The Seeker froze mid-attack. The air vibrated with power, warm, painful, ancient. Lyra's voice broke as she whispered, "I don't want anyone to die because of me." And the entire station felt the force of her fear. The glowing light from Lyra's chest spread across the entire power spine like a rising star. It pushed against the walls, the ceiling, the metal walkways, filling every corner with a warm but unstable energy. Jace squinted through the brightness. Izura stepped back, eyes wide. The Seeker froze, stunned by the force. Lyra floated an inch off the ground, her feet no longer touching the floor. Her hair lifted in the swirling light. Tears streamed down her cheeks, drifting upward like tiny glowing drops. "Make it stop, please," she whispered. The core inside her was awake, and it was reacting to fear. The generators shook from the unstable surge. Alarms screamed louder. Metal panels buckled under pressure. If the core kept rising like this, the entire station could tear apart. Jace forced himself closer, step by painful step. The energy burned against his skin, but he didn't care. He reached out. "Lyra, look at me." She tried, but her eyes were unfocused, lost in fear, lost in memories. Jace grabbed her hand. It felt like touching fire. "You're not alone," he said. "I'm here. You're safe." Her breathing slowed, just a little. But the Seeker snapped out of its shock and charged toward the glowing child, driven by desperation. Its armor sparked. Its eyes burned. "The core is ours." A blast of dark energy shot from its palm. At the same moment, Izura acted. She jumped in front of Lyra, raising her golden shield. The blast struck her with explosive force. She was thrown across the platform, crashing into a control wall. Her armor shattered. She groaned in pain, but stayed conscious. "Child, control it," Izura shouted through clenched teeth. "You must." But Lyra shook her head violently. I can't." The core pulsed brighter, expanding again. The pressure wave pushed Jace backward. He skidded across the floor, his hands scraping metal. The Seeker advanced again, surviving the radiant blast. Izura tried to rise, but her leg gave out. She collapsed, gripping her spear for balance. The Seeker lifted its broken arm, energy building for a final strike. Jace's entire body screamed in pain, but he forced himself up again. He reached Lyra just as she fell toward the ground, shaking uncontrollably. He pulled her into his arms and whispered, "Listen to me. You're stronger than the core. You're stronger than all of them. You choose what happens next." Her small hands clenched his jacket. Her breathing steadied. The core's light flickered. Not calmer yet, but listening. The Seeker roared and charged, spear of energy raised to kill. Izura screamed, "Run!" But Jace didn't move. Instead, he wrapped both arms around Lyra, shielding her with his own body. He whispered, "I'm not letting them take you. Not alive. Not dead. Never." The Seeker's spear swung down, and Lyra's eyes burst open. The core didn't just glow this time. It exploded. A shockwave of golden light blasted outward, pure and unstoppable. It struck the Seeker first, ripping the armor apart. The machine convulsed as its systems overloaded. Its weapon shattered into dust. Izura barely protected herself, raising her shield as the wave knocked her back. Jace held Lyra close, bracing for death, but the shockwave flowed around him, like the core recognized him and refused to harm him. The Seeker screamed as its metal body cracked, broke, and fell apart into sparks. In seconds, it was nothing more than molten scraps on the floor. Silence followed. Breathing, shaking, fear. Then everything went dark. The core's glow faded to a dim pulse. The lights of the station flickered weakly. Smoke filled the air. The corridor groaned like it was about to collapse. Lyra collapsed in Jace's arms, unconscious but alive. Izura stared at her with trembling eyes. She awakened it fully. The core chose to defend her. Jace lifted the faint girl gently. Is she going to be okay? Izura looked at the cracked floor, the burned walls, the melted seeker. I don't know. Then she looked at Jace, really looked at him. You protected her, even when death stood inches away. Why? She is not your child. She is not even of your species. Jace didn't hesitate. She was alone. Nobody helped her. So I did. Izura lowered her head, shaken by his simple answer. But before either could speak again, a deep, rumbling sound echoed across the station. The hull was splitting. The station couldn't survive another hit. It was going to fall apart. Izura stood up, leaning on her spear. Human, if we don't leave now, we all die. Jace held Lyra closer. Then we leave now. The floor beneath them cracked. The station began to break for real. And Part 7 would decide who survived. The station groaned like a dying beast. Metal tore somewhere above. Lights exploded. Gravity flickered. The entire structure leaned to one side, as if the void itself was pulling it down. Jace held Lyra tightly against his chest as he and Izura ran through the collapsing corridor. Red alarms flashed everywhere, forming streaks of color through the thick smoke. Izura limped ahead, leaning on her cracked spear. The upper hangar, just a few more decks. Another explosion shook the hallway. A door ripped off its hinges and flew past them like a giant blade. Jace threw himself over Lyra as debris slammed into the floor. He coughed hard, tasting blood in his mouth. Izura reached out, pulling him up with surprising strength. We move, she said. Now. They entered a lift shaft. The lift was destroyed, only torn cables dangling from above. The shaft stretched upward endlessly. Izura looked at Jace. Can you climb? Jace nodded, even though his whole body screamed in pain. Lyra was unconscious, but a soft golden glow pulsed from her chest. The core was still alive, barely. Jace wrapped one arm around her and grabbed the ladder with the other. A violent tremor shook the shaft. Izura looked up sharply. The station is entering full collapse. We have minutes. They climbed. One step. Another. The shaft creaked dangerously. Halfway up, Jace's injured arm buckled. His grip slipped. His fingers almost let go. Izura leaned down immediately, catching his wrist. Hold on, human. Jace tried. He really did. But the strength was leaving him fast. Lyra's eyes fluttered open for a moment. Weak. Tired. She whispered, don't fall. Her small voice gave him something he didn't have left. He pulled himself up again, teeth clenched, refusing to let go. Finally, they reached the top hatch. Izura pushed it open with the last of her strength, and all three of them spilled into the hangar. The hangar was a disaster. Shattered ships. Burning debris. Gravity shifting sideways. Only one vessel remained intact. A small scout ship, old but functional. Izura breathed heavily. We take that one. Hurry. Jace rushed toward the ship, but a deafening crack boomed behind them. A bridge collapsed, sending fire and metal falling like a storm. The station began to split in half. Izura screamed, move. They sprinted, jumping over falling panels and sliding under bursting pipes, until they reached the scout ship. Jace climbed inside with Lyra. Izura jumped into the pilot's seat. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls. Engines, responding. Shields, minimal. This may not hold long. The hangar started collapsing inward. Izura yelled, strap in. The ship's engines roared to life. Fire swallowed the hangar behind them. The roof fell as they took off, blasting through a narrow gap only seconds before the entire deck imploded. The scout ship burst into open space. Behind them, Frontier Station 9 tore itself apart, exploding into a massive cloud of debris and light. The shockwave hit their ship like a hammer. Izura struggled to keep control, but she held the course. When the shaking finally ended, the only thing left was silence. Jace looked down at Lyra. She was breathing faintly, her small hands curled at her chest. Izura glanced back, her voice quiet. She saved us all, even as the core consumed her strength. Jace brushed hair from Lyra's forehead. She's strong, stronger than any of us. Izura hesitated, then asked softly, Human, what will you do now? There will be more seekers. And my people, they will not stop searching. Jace looked out at the field of broken metal floating in space. Then he looked at Lyra in his arms. We're not running, he said. But we're not giving her up either. Izura stared at him, studying him as though she had never seen a human before. Then slowly, she nodded. You have courage, she said. More than I expected. Jace took a breath. Help me protect her. Izura hesitated, then placed her hand gently on Lyra's glowing bracelet. I cannot promise peace, she said. But I can promise this. Where you go, I will go. Until she decides her own future. Jace nodded. Lyra stirred weakly. Her voice was barely a whisper. Home. Where is home? Jace looked at her with a gentle smile. Wherever you feel safe, he said softly. That's home now. The scout ship drifted into the stars, carrying a wounded girl, a stubborn human, and a warrior who no longer knew which side she belonged to. 3 souls. 1 core. A galaxy about to change. Their story wasn't ending. It was only beginning.